Publicis Sapient was named among the Horizon 3 market leaders in the HFS Horizon's Generative Enterprise Services report. This report, the industry's first to compare global professional services firms with their services in this space, became our largest to date, with 35 global services and advisor companies compared. One of the reasons Publicis Sapient stood out for us is the way in which it leverages its integrated speed capabilities to help drive value for clients on their generative enterprise journeys. Speed stands for strategy, product, experience, engineering, and data and AI. In each of this short series of HFS videocasts, I'm joined by a Publicis Sapient leader to explain the impact of one strand of the speed approach as applied to generative enterprise services. And in this edition, it's Abby Godet, who looks after the E for experience of the speed approach. Hello, Abby, and welcome.
Hi, David. Thanks for having us.
How does your experience team integrate generative AI in digital business transformation for your clients?
The way we look at generative AI is it represents probably the single biggest disruption to experience in the last 40 years. You first started with the web, changing the way we could do self-service, as a world, and then mobile being available 24/7 in your pocket, everything. But those were really just evolutions of long existing paradigms. And so what we see now is that we've spent the last 40 years trying to help people in business, citizens, customers, consumers, patients learn how to speak to the computers, learn how to work with them. There's entire industries around human computer interaction and how do you learn how to work with computers properly. And that's actually what our whole industry is based on in many ways. Now everything can be flipped because finally the technology has gotten to the point where it can really understand us and allow us to interact in much more natural ways. So all of a sudden, you can start to have much more engaged, empathic, and natural interactions with employees and patients. And we talk so much about the confusion that people are faced with complexity of loads of information that they need to navigate through or be able to access to be able to make decisions, to interact, to transact, to be able to access services that they require. This is really the moment in time where we are going to be able to offer people the kind of personalization and personalized experiences that we've been promising them for years. We're working really hard with all of our clients to see what are the most relevant human-centered use cases. We've created methods like something that we call our AI Experience Lab, where we can help clients identify useful and relevant use cases and then bring them to a functional prototype within 4 weeks that they can use to really test not just the technical possibilities associated with that use case, but does it deliver the value? And most importantly, from the experience perspective, does it deliver on the value proposition to the people for whom it's intended to serve? We also have our engineering team has a composable AI ML acceleration platform that they've named Bodhi. And our experience team gets to work with it, and we construct human-centered experiences, sort of using the Lego blocks that Bodhi offers us to be able to put things together really quickly. And that's also helping us with the experience transformation across Publicis Group. Our experience team is actually helping with our other speed capabilities build those tools. So we're walking the walk and talking the talk, and we're really learning a tremendous amount.
So it's as much employee experience as it is customer experience.
100%.
Patient
100%.
experience. Yeah, it seems a lot of companies are learning about how to do this and what the impacts are, experimenting on their own people first, rather than the great public out there to test potentially risky stuff, because we are in a world where there's a lot of risk still associated with this. And are you finding that's holding people back at all? I mean, I'm going to move on to asking you what a great example of success looks like here, but part of getting to that, part of the things that you need to align is overcoming some of those fears that are live in the market, some of their concerns about forthcoming legislation, etc. So how are all of those things coming together for you?
We've always been very, very committed to driving a human centered approach with insights and research at the core of what we do. We are sticking to the ethical principles that we've always had, and we've worked hard to figure out how we can apply that to the rapid and accelerated iteration that's possible with generative AI, understanding that you can have some unintended consequences if you don't have a really robust process. Now, I won't pretend that we have all the answers because this is still unfolding, but we come from the school of thought that we want to be extremely careful about what the consequences are for people.
Great. Okay. So I just want to double down a little bit on that employee experience, because I think it's interesting to understand how firms like your own are improving the skills of their own people, helping them manage to be able to thrive in the generative AI era. And I guess there are um, that there's giving them some technology, that's fine, but helping them understand what their new relationship with it is seems to me where all the value gets created. I'm a big fan of the idea that the reason we are successful as a species is that we cooperate. People like to talk about collaboration. Cooperation, I think, covers it slightly better, and it's a human superpower. But we're having to learn to cooperate now with a thing that isn't human. But if we don't cooperate with it, we're not going to create the value that we could otherwise do. So, is that something that's recognised in the business, or how are you overcoming any obstacles that people might be concerned about?
Like with any human cooperation, you also have to be open for feedback, and you have to start getting really good at delivering feedback. And that's also a skill that not everybody has. So that's another thing that's really part of our core values at Sapient that we're trying to extend into the technology evolution that we're experiencing right now, is making sure that our teams understand how to be open, transparent, and provide feedback to the people who are developing tools, and to the people who are providing and selecting the tools and training them on the usage of those tools.
And do you find that there are any particular skills that need developing more than others at this time?
Comfort with ambiguity is incredibly important. And also being able to sort of tackle multidimensional problems. Luckily for us, the kind of experienced professionals that work at Sapient have always been drawn to that kind of complexity. Like that really is how our teams are different. We've always been system thinkers. We've always been really excited by complexity. So this is like another step in that evolution. But for teams that have been used to really common patterns that they get to repeat again and again, this is going to be a much bigger stretch.
That's a great point, Abby. I think mindset really important. Um, Publishers Sapient may be lucky in that it's kind of stocked with people with the right mindset. But imagine yourself in the position of someone who's maybe dealing with a back office function where it has become quite rote. What would your advice be there? How would you help those people shift their thinking?
I've actually personally been very excited for years, for probably the last 15 years, about the back office functions that are impacted by digital business transformation. The unsung heroes of and opportunity of digital business transformation is to be able to look at transforming the whole organization. So along with any technology transformation, think about, integrating a platform that's going to, SAP or Salesforce or anything else that's going to radically change the way people have to do their job. But what people have forgotten for years is the change management, the communication, the cooperation with those teams to be able to help them understand and co-create that new way of working with them. So we actually, when you would think that something might be a pure technology integration, we embed experience and product in our other teams with the customer to be able to make sure that we're helping them define the problems that are actually inherent in their workflow, and that it fits for them, and that they are comfortable and understand the changes they're going to be going through from the moment that we define the transformation that's required.
Abby, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you.
Thanks.